What's going on, drivers? Welcome to Trucking with Old Snapper. And I am Old Snapper. Trying to get my headset on. I'm gonna change this radio out. Putting a let me get that out of the way. I'm gonna put this Galaxy 66 V3 in place of this Galaxy DX929. And I'm gonna have to go to the truck stop later. I'm gonna have to get a mount so that I can put a 10-meter antenna on. And I'm gonna have to see if I can find one of them wrenches for putting the mount on these freightliners. I think the truck stop carries them, but I'm not 100% sure. I may have to make my own makeshift wrench to do that. Got a big homie over here, he's crashed out. Man, we probably won't run tonight, we'll probably run tomorrow. And one of the locals came in and dropped their cattle trailer. That's not us there. Figured I would tell y'all a funny story. I was listening to a comedian the other day and it reminded me of a time when I was a teenager, and I figured I would tell y'all about that while I jack with this radio install. This is not an install video. Most of us out here know how to do them. I've got an old install video y'all can watch if that's what y'all want to watch, but I'm just going to tell a story while I jack with this this radio. I've already got the screws out so that I can pop the radio down and out. I just need to get this mic out of my way and I'll get started on this. Tell y'all now, I'm just going to tell y'all how I would tell you if I saw you out here on the street. If I ran into you at a truck stop, I'm going to tell you this story the way I would tell you, just like that. You know, on YouTube, a lot of us YouTubers kind of, I don't know how to explain it. We kind of gauge the words we're going to use when we tell y'all a story, right? Because YouTube will take a video down if you say the wrong word, or they'll demonetize you, or there's all kinds of things that happen if you say or use the wrong words in your video. So it kind of sucks, but it censors us when we're talking to you and trying to tell you a story. You know, I just want to talk to you. I do this as a hobby, and I just want to talk to you like I would talk to you if I ran into you in a truck stop. You know, so whatever happens with the video happens with the video. So if you're seeing this video, share it out, save it, download it, do whatever you got to do, because the language I'm going to use, it's a very strong possibility YouTube's going to take it down. But I'm just going to tell you how it is. I'm going to tell you how it was. Years ago, let me say before I start this video, I do not advocate using narcotics in any kind of way, no kind of drugs. I am a smoker. I don't even wish that on my worst enemy. It's been horrible in my life, and I've tried to quit many times. And if I'm ever successful with it, I will gladly share the secret, but I have not found that secret yet in my 43 years on this earth. But I'm gonna get that out of the way right now. So I don't condone using drugs. And the story I'm about to tell you was a really bad night that could have ended really badly, and somebody could have died or gotten hurt. So keep that in mind. But it is funny. Nobody died, nobody got hurt. So I'm gonna tell that story. And I can't see what y'all can see, so hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing as I tell this story. But anyway, years ago, me and a friend of mine, good old Josh, man, good people, man. He's still kicking around Victoria. He's got a couple kids and a couple ex-wives. Oh damn, there's some more screws back there. Great. What did I do with them? With that what you call it? I thought I got all the screws out. But anyway, he's a good old boy. Me and him used to hang out. He's a few years older than me. All of my younger years, I hung out with people that were older than me. You know, when I was 15, 16 years old, I was running around with guys normally in their early 20s, early to mid 20s. Don't know why. That's just the way it was, man. That's just who I fit in with most of the time. Well, at this time, I'm living in town about an hour and a half or so south of Houston. Port Lavaca is the name of the town. And we all smoked pot and we used to do coke and things like that, but it was real rare. But every once in a while, acid would come to town. And this happened to be one of those times acid was coming to town. We had a connect, we had a plug that was coming in from Houston and bringing us all the acid we wanted. And it was triple dipped. I don't know if some of you guys know what I'm talking about, but it used to come in little squares, and they would dip these sheets in the LSD. And this is what they called triple dipped. So it was dipped once, dried, and then dipped again, and then dried, and then dipped again. So each hit was equivalent to 3 hits, I think is the way that goes. I've never made LSD, so I may be wrong. And if I'm wrong, one of y'all can correct me, but that's the way I assumed it was. This is the one and only time I ever did LSD. Never messed with it again. And by the time this story's over with, you're gonna know why old Snapper never messed with LSD again. How's this thing come out? Should just come right out of there. Oh, there it is. Got some snaps. I miss the way these trucks used to be. Because back in the old days, you just set it on the dash. I don't know why they got to make these so... What, is there more screws in there? What the hell is holding it? No, there we go. Boy, I thought I was about to break that thing. Oh, I see. So I need to take this off. Well, I'll get that here in a minute. Dang, it's dusty up there. This radio's been in there a long time. All right. That I'll take a look at all that electrical here in a minute. Anyway, where was I at? This was some triple dip that was coming into town. Well, me and Josh used to hang out all the time. There were some other friends of ours, Chuck and Jeannie, Damien, Chad. We all used to hang out in a group, but for whatever reason, this night me and Josh were going to be hanging out. And the rest of our group was working or either out of town or whatever was going on. But they were going to come back and meet us the next day at Pedro's house, a friend of ours, and get their order, you know, get the hits of acid they ordered. And we were going to continue partying with them throughout the day the next day. But me and Josh, being in a hurry, wanting to go party and not wait on everybody else, we went ahead and went and picked up our hits and stuff, so we could party that night. And we got 6 hits, so we had 3 hits apiece. Is the way it was set up. 3 hits apiece. Look at how dusty that radio is. Damn, it's been up there a long time. Not a bad radio, really isn't. Probably just needs to be peaked and tuned or worked on a little bit, but it don't get out very far. But looks like it's also using the internal antenna, which I may try on this radio, but it's probably not going to work very well because that's a 10-meter radio. This internal antenna is not a 10-meter antenna, but I may give it a shot and see if it works. Kick back and tell the story for a minute. You know, I'm a truck driver, so I'm lazy. I'm going to take 20 breaks in the process of doing this CB install. Me and Josh, we go pick up these 6 hits and we head out to Magnolia Beach. Well, right on the edge of Magnolia Beach, well, you got 2 beaches there, Indianola and Magnolia. Right on the edge where the 2 come together, there's a monument, and there used to be a bar called Taylor's. I think that bar's gone now. Might be something else, I'm not sure. But we were gonna head out there, play some pool. There was a bartender there that Josh was trying to mess with. And then I was the same age as one of her daughters and went to school with her, and I'd been trying to mess with her. So we kind of had this thing going where both of us were trying to get at these girls, which, by the way, neither one of us ever achieved either one. And Desiree, rest in peace, the girl I was trying to talk to back then, she just passed away last year. But really good girl, and her mom was really cool too. We all used to hang out, and when the bar closed, we would go down to the beach and have bonfires and party all night long. I mean, it was a really good time in my life, man, to be honest with you. So we head out to Taylor's. We get to Taylor's. We both pop 1 hit apiece. Now, mind you, we plan on partying the next day, so we're gonna save some of this. So we pop 1 hit apiece. We go in Taylor's, we're shooting pool, hanging out, BSing with Desiree, BSing with her mom, you know, talking to everybody that's in there. It's a small town, everybody knows everybody. We're just having a good time and just kicking it. We decide to leave there and go back to Port Lavaca and go to what we call the new beach. Us locals call it the new beach. It was a beach that they built just a couple years before this time. And you had to pay $1 or $2, something like that, to get on this beach. So we decided to go back over there and hang out. So we drive all the way back to Port Lavaca, which is about 7 miles. But on the way, I tell Josh, I'm like, dude, I don't feel nothing. And Josh says the same thing. He says, like, I don't feel nothing either. Now, mind you, I'm partying with Josh because he's done acid before. I haven't. You know, so in a situation like that, you want to try to do it around someone who's done it before in case things go bad. You got someone there to gauge it off of, whether you need to go to the emergency room or whatever, or to keep you from jumping off a bridge somewhere, you know, keep you from doing something stupid to hurt yourself or somebody else, because anything can happen. So we get back to Port Lavaca and we run into these other girls that I went to school with. They were a little bit younger than Josh, but they were camping at the beach out there and partying. So we decided to hang out with them for a little bit. And we end up taking another hit. So now we're 2 hits in. And we want to save that 3rd hit apiece for the next day. So me and him, we're sitting there, man, and we're talking to these girls. And it's nighttime. You know, the stars are out. It's a beautiful night. They got a little bonfire going. And we're just BSing with these people. And we decided to leave there and just go ride around. Just go hang out in town. Well, when we get back in the car, Josh drove a little Mitsubishi Eclipse. And when we get back in the car, I tell Josh, I'm like, dude, I still don't feel this, I don't feel it. It's not, I don't feel anything. I don't feel any different than what I would normally feel. And Josh is like, I don't really either. Let's just go ahead and take that other one. All right. Now, remember the beginning of the story? I told you it was triple dipped. And one thing about acid is you lose track of time. So there's no telling how long it's actually been between our first hit and now we're fixing to take our 3rd hit. Could have been 2 hours. Could have been 8 hours. No telling. All we know is it was dark outside when we took our first hit. It's still dark outside and we're about to take our 3rd. We're like, screw it. This shit's probably bunk. We probably got ripped off. We're thinking, oh boy, that's bringing this stuff down from Houston just burned us, you know. That happens. It happens from time to time. So we pop that 3rd hit. We head back into Port Lavaca. We're going down 35. And this is when I realized that we had screwed up. I'm in the passenger seat of this Mitsubishi Eclipse. I look over at Josh and he's got this clown smile and it's not going away. And I asked Josh, I said, you all right? And he looks at me and says, man, I don't feel anything. I'm like, dude, you haven't stopped smiling since we left the beach. He's like, I'm not smiling. I'm like, yeah, you are. You're fucking smiling. I can see it. It's all over. It's fucking all across your face. So I'm like, whatever. We're not going to argue over this shit. You're smiling. So we're going down the road. And you know the little white lines that are in the middle of the road with the reflectors in between them? I'm watching these white lines and they keep jumping. I look over at Josh. I'm like, dude, hold the car straight. He said, I am driving straight. I said, well, it looks like we keep running across that line. I said, what line? I said, the line in the middle of the road. And he looks at me and he says, man, I don't even see the line in the middle of the road. I see these little reflector things flashing in my face every once in a while. That's another thing about acid, is the light will start to jack with you. So the reflectors are flashing in his face as he's going down the road. Don't know whether he's swerving or whether I'm hallucinating and that line's moving. Still don't know to this day. That's just what I was seeing and what he was seeing. We pull up to the traffic light, and the traffic light's red, and this light will not stop moving. It is doing all kinds of weird crap and sparkling, and oh my God, man, it was horrible. So I'm like, all right, we're frying now. And he's starting to realize at this point that, yeah, we are frying. We are definitely on it. We ride through town, and the big thing to do back in the day was to ride through Whataburger. So we're gonna go ride through Whataburger and see what's going on up there. There used to be fights up there. Sometimes there'd be people just hanging out in the parking lot. You never knew what you were gonna see at Whataburger. So we pull in by the auto parts store, and we start to circle around to go around Whataburger. And we're pulling up back there, and as we circle around the back side of Whataburger, on the front side there's a crowd out there, just a huge crowd, and there's two people fighting in the middle there. Everybody's crowded around watching what's going on. These were high school kids. These were kids my age, you know. I think Josh is like 20 or 21 by this time, maybe 22. So we decide to creep up there so we can see what's going on. Well, Josh just keeps on creeping, and the crowd moves, and these two guys stop fighting, and instantly everybody is looking at us in this car. And I can't stop laughing. Josh can't stop laughing. We've got Rage Against the Machine. It had just come out at this time, so we got Rage Against the Machine playing over the radio, which is really messing with my head on this acid. And the only guy I remember that was there for sure was Paco, who was a friend of mine I had grown up with. And he's just like, dude, what are you doing? He don't know that we're not of our right mind at this moment going through this crowd. We are fucked up. And when I say fucked up, we are fucked up, all the way fucked up. So we ride through this crowd real slow. Everybody's looking at us crazy. We can't stop laughing. The other side of the circle splits. We drive on out. We decide to get away from there so that we don't become part of the fight. For some reason in our heads, both of us instantly thought, oh shit, now they're going to be after us. They're going to be mad. We broke up the fight. You know, we stopped whatever was going on. You know, did we run over anybody? I mean, we're tripping, totally tripping on that situation. It ain't good. So we bust out of there and make a left. We go down past the high school and the football field, and then we turn into this neighborhood that's right there behind it, and we start making left and rights in this neighborhood. Now we are frying balls, so in our minds we're thinking we're getting away from whatever is following us, but nothing is following us. You know, it's just like a really I don't know if you understand, but that's what's going on. That's what's going on in our heads at the moment. Now, the little Mitsubishi Eclipse were standard. I don't remember if they were 4-speed or 5-speed, but they were manuals. And somewhere in the middle of this, Josh looks at me. We're stopped in the middle of the road in this neighborhood. He looks at me and goes, oh my God, man, I forgot how to drive a manual. I'm like, what? He had totally forgot how to drive a manual. I don't know how long we were in the middle of that road trying to figure it out, but he was trying to figure out how to drive the manual again. Well, we end up getting it figured out. I'm like, Josh, we got to get out of town. If we don't get out of town, we're going to go to jail. And I do not want to be sitting in some little bitty cell in Calhoun County Jail just tripping balls. It's not going to be good. I don't want to deal with that. Josh agrees. So we decide we're going to go to 6 Mile Boat Ramp. It's peaceful out there. It's in the country. It's this boat ramp there's nothing out there but mostly fields, farmers, and stuff like that. It's just, and we call it 6 Mile because it's 6 miles from town. Now remember, it's 6 miles. Shouldn't take, what, 8 minutes, 10 minutes tops. All right, when I left town, I had a baseball cap, I had a Coca-Cola, and I had 3 packs of Camel Wides. That's what I smoked when I was younger. I like Camel Wides. I still get them every now and then, but with the cigarette prices, I've gone to cheaper brands because it's just too expensive to smoke Camel Wides. But I had 3 packs of Camel Wides on me when we left Port Lavaca. I'm still seeing the line jump in the middle, and the street lights are doing really funky stuff. that I cannot even describe to y'all. When we got out to the 6 Mile boat ramp, I don't have a baseball cap anymore, and I cannot find my cigarettes, and my Coca-Cola is gone. So I told Josh, I'm like, dude, stop the car at the ramp. I got to find my cigarettes. I want a cigarette. So Josh stops the car. I get out. I'm looking all over that car for my cigarettes. Cannot find them. Can't find my baseball cap. Don't know what happened to it. And my soda's empty. Now I'm going to fast forward to another part. Anyhow, my car broke down. I'm out there on the side of the road. And when I get out of my car, I'm walking around to pop the hood. And I end up finding my paper license on the ground. Because at the time I had a paper license. This is how young I was. And my baseball cap and 2 packs of Camel Wides. Whatever the case is, going down the highway, I threw them out the window, I guess. I don't know if I threw them out the window or if I was hanging out the window. Maybe I was trying to climb out the window. Whatever happened in that section of the night, I don't even remember. Can't tell you. But I know that's where my Camel Wides were, my hat, and apparently my paper license that I didn't even know I had lost. Now back to the story. I'm out there 6 Mile boat ramp going through this car, cannot find it, and I stand up. And the Mitsubishi Eclipse is a real low car. It comes up to the top of it is at my chest, you know. It's a really small car. And I'm looking up at the stars. They've caught my attention and they're really beautiful, and they start turning real slowly. And real slowly they start coming down around me. And I am tripping out because that is not supposed to happen. I look across and Josh is standing up. He's looking at me and he's still got that big shit-eating grin on his face. He's just grinning. I'm like, all right. I had to turn the truck on because I think my GoPro is getting overheated. It's a GoPro 8. And looks like it's getting overheated. So I turned the truck on, keep it a little cool. Anyhow, take a look at this radio. It's a pretty nice radio. I like it. And it's got the glowing dash and all that. We'll see how it does. Anyway, Josh has still got this shit-eating grin on his face. So I'm like, Josh, dude, we got to get out of here. I need to go to the store. I don't want to trip balls anymore. I want to come down off of this shit. For some reason, I had it in my head, if I drink milk, I'll come down off of this trip and I'll sober up. So we go back to town. I got to get cigarettes. I don't know where my cigarettes are at, and I want some milk. I walk in this store. I go back there. I get a gallon of milk, a gallon of whole milk. I walk up to the register and I get a pack of cigarettes and I purchase that gallon of milk. The lady behind the counter is looking at me real strange. And I'm trying very hard to hold my composure and not say anything that I shouldn't say. Because I don't want her panicking and calling the law or anything like that. I just want to get my milk and my cigarettes and get out of here. I'm in no condition to be around public at all. I don't need to be in public. I need to be somewhere hidden away from society at this point in the night. So we go back to my homeboy Garrett's house. Now Garrett's out of town. He's with his girl. But we all used to stay there. His mom was cool. His sister was cool. And we used to just hang out over there. So I go back to my homeboy Garrett's house. Garrett's mom's getting ready to go on a date. Okay? Now this is where I say the time when you're high gets really messed up. Because to us it seems, or to me at least, it seemed like it had been 12 or 13 hours. But if she's getting ready to go on a date, it couldn't have been no later than 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It got dark, you know, it was summertime, so it probably got dark at 7:30, 8 o'clock. So it's only been a couple of hours that all of this has taken place. But it feels like it's been 12 or 13 hours. It feels like it's been a really long time. Just one of them things that acid does to you. Garrett's mom, as she's leaving, she tells me that they got this little pet rabbit, and she tells me that the pet rabbit chewed through the phone cord. Now this rabbit used to run loose in this trailer. It was just a pet. It just ran loose. They had a cage for it, but it was seldom ever in the cage. Now by this point I'm on the couch I got a gallon of milk sitting in front of me and a pack of cigarettes. I'm already smoking on the cigarettes, waiting on her to leave because I'm gonna start drinking this gallon of milk. I'm thinking that I look sober by not drinking the gallon of milk sitting on the couch with her there, not realizing that I probably look high as hell because I'm sitting there with a gallon of milk in front of me. But hey, to each their own. She never asked. So she hands me the telephone cord. It was right by me. The telephone's set right at the end of the couch. And I'm looking at this telephone cord and I'm like, yes, ma'am, I'll fix it. And she leaves. I don't know if you've ever seen the inside of a telephone wire, but it's made up of a bunch of little wires. And they're all real sparkly. And I'm trying to strip them, and every time I would bite on it and pull it out to try to strip it. And every time I did, it felt like it shocked me. So I thought someone was calling. I don't know whatever happened that night. It ended up getting fixed, but I don't think I was the one that fixed it. I think someone else fixed it at a later date. But I jacked with it for a while, really tripping on them colors of them lights. And then I decide I'm going to sober up. Josh grabs a chair from the kitchen. He's sitting in the middle of the living room in a chair. Remember the old console TVs? That's what was in this house. And it's not on. I'm going to tell you that. It's not on. But me and Josh both are watching a movie on this TV that we later found out was not even on. It was off. Hey, it is what it is. I stripped down to my boxers and I set up, curl up on the couch, and I grabbed that gallon of milk, still puffing on a cigarette, and I start drinking that milk. Josh is laughing at me. He says, man, you're not going to come down. Milk is not going to bring you down. And he's right, it won't. It will if you're on cocaine, but it will not do anything for you on LSD. You're just going to be tripping on LSD with a gallon of milk in your stomach. That's all that's going to happen. Well, about that time, that rabbit comes hopping down the hallway. Just a little white rabbit. And it rounded the corner into the living room. And when it did, I freaked out. I don't know why, but that rabbit scared the shit out of me. I thought I was going to die. I started screaming. I started screaming like a little girl. Someone's got to put that damn rabbit up. The rabbit, even though it looked small to me, it felt like it was shaking the whole trailer every time it hopped. It was just a weird feeling. So Garrett's sister comes out from the back bedroom. That's where she was always at. And she grabs the rabbit, looks at me and Josh crazy. You know, she knows we do drugs. We're always high on something. And she's shaking her head. She just takes off with the rabbit. She's like, I'm not even fooling with them fools. I'm just going to take the rabbit and go. And the rabbit never came back. Well, I finally come to the realization that I'm not going to sober up. It's not going to happen. So I tell Josh, I'm like, hell with this, let's go. And here again, this is where time gets all jacked up. Because by this time now that I decide I'm not going to sober up, it's starting to get daylight. It's starting to, the sun is cracking. It felt like it hadn't been that long, but it had been that long. So me and Josh get back in this little Mitsubishi Eclipse, still listening to Rage Against the Machine, which, by the way, is not good music to listen to if you're frying balls. Really bad music to listen to. And we drive over to Pedro's house because our other friends in our group are supposed to meet up over there and get their part of what they ordered from Houston. And Pedro worked nights. He worked at Whataburger, ironically, same place we were at earlier that night. That's where he worked at. And he would get off at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we would all hang out in his garage. We would smoke weed and BS and all that kind of crap. And we would just chill over there. Pedro was a little older than all of us. I think Pedro was in his 30s, late 20s or early 30s at this point in our life. So we're sitting on this couch. Pedro had turned his garage into a living room, basically, because his wife didn't like weed, so we all smoked weed out there. It's where we hung out at all the time. We'd sit out there and BS. So we're sitting out there smoking weed. I'm waiting on Chuck, Jeannie, you know, David, everybody to get there and get their part. Homeboy a couple houses down, waiting on him to get over there and get his, and then we're all going to go party. Josh gets up and just walks out. Well, when you're high, you're curious. So I'm like, what the hell is he doing? So And even Pedro's like, y'all are fucking frying, man. Y'all motherfuckers are gone. Y'all can't even hold a fucking conversation. You know, y'all don't need any more of anything. Y'all just wait. Chuck gets here. We get y'all somewhere where y'all fucking away from people, away from public. And he's laughing at us. Well, I follow Josh outside, and he's standing in the middle of the yard. Now, this is a middle-class neighborhood. This is Alamo Heights. It's a upper middle-class neighborhood at the time in Port Lavaca. Standing in the middle of the yard with his junk in his hand, just pissing on the grass. Laughing. Got a smile from ear to ear, just laughing. And Pedro is hollering, because Pedro come out behind me. He's hollering at him, dude, you can't do that here. You can't do that here. What the fuck? He's getting mad. Well, Josh, for whatever reason, I guess he realizes Pedro's mad, so he goes and he gets in his Mitsubishi Eclipse, and he burns off. Leaves me there. I'm like, fuck it. I didn't need to hear no more Rage Against the Machine anyway. About that time, the rest of the group shows up. So we're all in the garage smoking on some weed, man. And they're all tripping on me, laughing at me. And they're excited because they know, or they think that the acid's going to be really good. You know, or they know the acid's going to be really good because they can see how totally not on this earth I am at this moment. And I've been this way since early in the evening. So it's been a long time. So they get their shit, long story short, they get their shit, we bounce out, we're gonna go back over to Chuck's house. Me forgetting that Chuck likes to listen to real heavy metal. I've never been into real heavy metal, but he liked to listen to like Marilyn Manson and stuff I just didn't listen to. A lot of screaming stuff. So they've already set up their room for this. They're gonna have like a mini rave basically. They got black lights up, they got posters up. Jeannie's been setting this room up for days, getting ready for this party. Everybody's in there, and they got a strobe light going. They got Marilyn Manson or something blaring over the radio. At this point in my high, I cannot handle what is happening. I've either got to leave or I'm going to have a total meltdown and probably going to need a straitjacket. So I bounce. I don't tell anybody anything. I just bounce. I'm going to walk back to Garrett's, and I'm going to hide out there until I get sober. Now, Garrett lived all the way across town. And that's not a big town, so it's only about 5 miles. But still, it was all the way across town. And by this time, it is mid-morning. It's hot. I'm walking down the State Fair Road. Fairgrounds Road, that's what it's called. I'm walking down Fairgrounds Road, headed up towards 35. And about this time, a cop passes me. For whatever reason, it was Johnny Amador was his name. But he pulls over. He's like, where you headed? So I'm headed out to Garrett's. Now, we're on the edge of town, so we're kind of in the country. And Johnny had always kind of looked out for me. He had arrested me a few times too. But he had always kind of looked out for me a little bit, you know, made sure I didn't get myself killed running the streets. I was young. And he's like, hey, dude, you headed out to Garrett's? I said, yeah. So he gave me a ride out there. Ironically, this same cop that gave me a ride out there just a couple years later would have me and Garrett at gunpoint on Austin Street. So it's just weird how the world turns, how things happen, you know. But anyway, he gives me a ride out there. And I'm in the back seat of this cop car, not in handcuffs. And he's just talking to me. He's like, what have you been up to? So I'll just go to school. I'm trying to act as sober as possible. Because even though this cop is cool, he is not cool to the point of not taking my ass to jail. He ain't that cool. You know, so I am trying like hell to act sober and not say anything incriminating. He says, where are you coming from? So I'm coming from my mama's house. Because my mama lived in the same direction. If you kept going past Chuck's behind me, she lived right down the road. So I'm coming from my mama's house. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go out here and hang out at Garrett's for a while. I appreciate you picking me up. It was hot. Yeah. You know, we just having small talk. He takes me up there, drops me off in front of Garrett's house. And I was so happy when he let me out. Oh my God, I was so happy. I was a juvenile at the time, but I really just wasn't wanting to go to jail, sitting in a little bitty cell, frying balls and feeling the way I was feeling. I immediately run up into Garrett's house. Garrett's home by this point, and he's already heard what's happening. He's hearing from other people in our friend group. He's hearing what's happening, and he knows I am tripping balls. I come through the front door, and Garrett's laughing his ass off. He's like, dude, you all right? And I'm serious by this point. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm okay. I don't know if I will ever be okay. I don't know what's happening. I just need a place to hide for a few days. He's like, man, you got it, dude. You just fucking stay here. Don't go nowhere. You know, there's cigarettes here. There's food here. There's, you know, shower. Just fucking stay here. And I did for 3 fucking days. Now, I didn't trip for the whole 3 days. Like, sometime later that day, I started to feel kind of normal. I went to sleep. And then I got up. I slept a really long time. I got up the next day. And I felt kind of off for about a day and a half. It felt kind of weird. Kind of like you do after a surgery or something, you know. And then after that, I was all right. But even after I was all right, I didn't want to go anywhere, you know. So I just kind of hung out there for a while. That's what happened to me in the one and only time that I ever did LSD. And I don't encourage anybody to do it, because it could have really gone bad. Like, I got a friend of mine, I've never done mushrooms, but I got a friend of mine who's at one time was a real close homeboy. But he was doing mushrooms one night, wrecked his truck, and that was 25 years ago or so. To this day, he is still on that mushroom trip. He never came out of it. And he kind of has moments where he kind of comes out of it, and then he goes right back into it. So it's really weird. We call him Alexander. But you can be bullshitting with him, and he's having a conversation like me and you are having right now, and then all of a sudden, just like a switch goes off, and he'll start talking to himself or talking to the TV. And it's all from them shrooms, man, that he did one night at a party. Whatever the case was, he never came back. He went on that trip. He's been on that trip ever since, man. And it's not cool, and that can happen to anybody at any given time. So I don't encourage you to use drugs. Just figured I would tell you all this story. It's kind of funny. It was a crazy night. Scared the hell out of me. And it was probably good that it went down the way it did, because I never, ever, for the rest of my life, ever touched LSD ever again. That was the cure. That was the cure. And we lost our connect anyway, because he was on a trip down. He was also bringing coke. That's where we were getting all of our coke at, and we were supplying the town with coke at the time. We had a pretty good little ring going on. And he ended up getting pulled over because he had a tail light out, and they ended up finding the drugs. He had a couple kilos in his trunk, really bad thing. So he ended up going to jail. We lost our freaking connect. That's how that went down. Anyhow, I appreciate y'all for stopping by. I'm gonna get back to putting this CB in. And later, after I get it installed, I might do a little bit of recording. We'll see how it sounds together and stuff like that. And that's if I can get the antenna for it and find that tool for that mirror out there. If you know what kind of tool that is, drop down in the comments and let me know. Y'all take care, stay safe, and keep trucking.